How are you feeling? 3 games left. Obviously, the season hasn't gone to this point where you guys had hoped it would. How do you feel just about the group buying in and trying to finish strong here?
We've got a great group, unbelievable group. These guys are all bought in as far as playing for each other, continuing to play for this university, this football program. They want to leave the legacy that they can for as far as a positive impact on this program, and they know these last 3 games are going to mean a lot as far as the future, as far as just for themselves, from an individual, from a group, and as a team. And so there's still plenty to play for. And these guys take pride in what they're putting out on that field every single day, whether it's practice, whether it's game days on Saturday. And so there's no quitting these guys. It's all fight for these guys, man. It's all about competing. So it's a great group to be around, the energy that they still have, regardless of what the results, the scoreboard, all that stuff. At the end of the day, they understand that this thing is a process. It's a long process. And if we continue to see it as such and understand and realize how much progress we have made, not only as individuals, but as a group, as a team, then they start to realize and see for themselves, like, yeah, there's been a lot of growth here. And we can continue on that track, and we'll start to get the results that everyone else is going to see and recognize. But for us, we can point out some things and go, yeah, heck yeah, we're on the track we want to be.
What do you see as the challenges of facing New Mexico? I mean, I know this is the first time, I think, since like '08 that you use the same quarterback in every game. So it looks like they throw the ball better and they're better offensively. So what's the challenge? What do you see?
They're very much improved. I think that the quarterback play is where you see significant improvement there. And I think to your point, it's from just a consistent guy back there running the show. And this guy that has a good grasp of what they're doing from a schematic standpoint. And he's got some weapons around him. He's got some guys on the outside that can flat out run, and some targets that are some big play type receivers. And he utilizes those guys. They take shots downfield quite often, and we've got to be prepared and ready for that. And at the same time, they're very good as far as running the football. They've got 2 quarterbacks that can beat you with their feet, and their running backs are very good as far as breaking tackles and hitting the big one if that opportunity presents itself. And their O-line presents a challenge as well. Those guys have meshed well together over the course of the season, and you can see improvement every single week. And so this is going to be a very challenging offense that we'll face week in and week out. I mean, that's the fun part about being part of this conference, is that every week it's going to be a challenge. There's going to be some sort of new challenges from a schematic standpoint, personnel standpoint. And so we've just got to accept that challenge every week and prepare for it.
Kane, I was at practice yesterday, and I love the drill where it's just one-on-one DBs versus receivers. And we all know EMAC's gone, but it felt to me like the receivers had a little extra boost. I mean, who's going to be number 1 now? And I saw you on a couple of plays. Just your thoughts. I know you're the defensive coach, but what you saw from the receivers in practice this week going against your DBs, are you optimistic offensively that guys like Bolt and Prince, that they're ready for this stage?
Yes, I am. And to your point, I get a chance to see those guys a lot over the course of all these weeks that we go against them every single day. And you see that progression as far as some of these young guys, Prince in particular. You see what Austin Bolt can do when that guy is, he is a hard guard. He is a very hard guard. He does a tremendous job with his ability to take the top off. But more importantly, if that ball is around him, he is going to come down with it. And so it's fun for our DBs to go against a receiver like that every single day. And to your point, now an opportunity is presenting itself for the whole group, and guys stepping up and filling a void that's been left. And we've got a great group of guys that are going to be anxious to be that guy, to step up in those situations where we need to play, whether it's a 3rd down or whether it's just taking an opportunity to take a shot or take the top off a defense. And I think we do have those guys just from going against them every day. I really do. And I'm excited to see which one of them steps up, because it could be 2 or 3 different guys that take on the responsibility of stepping up in that role.
In this NIL era, I mean, following your 150 tackle sophomore season or whatever the hell you had that year, if probably a bigger school would offer you something, if that existed at that point in time. How kind of crazy is this new added component or element that you guys are having to deal with at this point?
It is definitely changing the landscape. It already has, obviously, and it has turned this thing into where it's no longer hey, I'm signing here and I'm going to go there for 4 or 5 years. It is potentially, hey, I'm going to sign here and I'm going to try and play and develop, and then if another opportunity presents itself, then I've got to look to see if that's going to be the best opportunity for myself and for my family, and so it is different. and we have to, as coaches and everybody across the country has to adjust to it, because it's not changing. There's no way, I mean, Pandora's out of the box. And so we're just going to have to move down this road and figure out how we can navigate it and treat and develop our players. And if it, through development of our players, they get other opportunities, congratulations. That just is part of this thing now. No different than if, say, a guy left early to enter the NFL draft. That's just part of where we're at right now. So we just got to be aware of it and make sure that we do everything in our power to make sure our players that are here in this building are well taken care of and are developing the way they should, both as a character off the field and obviously on the field. And whatever comes. And we just got to be able to respond as, just like we tell our players, we got to respond as a staff and as a group of coaches to make sure that we're ready for, all right, this is the new change or the new group or whatever it is that comes our way. We got to respond no different than our players respond.
The best you might be able to answer this, you know, like if you were to relate the portal to recruiting, you guys don't start recruiting on when you can sign on February 4th, right? It's well before that. I would assume that there are programs that aren't going to wait until December 4th to start doing their due diligence on guys that they could get out of the portal. What kind of guidelines would you want to see in place? Because right now it is tampering. Nobody's monitoring it, but those programs aren't going to wait until December 4th to start doing what they need to do to get the best players in their program.
100%. Everyone is always going to be trying to be ahead of the 8 ball, right? Trying to be proactive as much as they can. And in turn, that can lead to some things that aren't necessarily within the guidelines or within the structure. I think ultimately we just need more structure, more guidelines of exactly how we can go about this the right way, still get the players what they deserve at the end of the day, because I'm a true proponent of players deserve to get what they earn at the end of the day, and I'm all about that. But we also have to make sure that it's not going to hurt or take away from what is supposed to be the college football experience. And so just providing some kind of structure, guidelines, in actually being able to monitor that, whatever structure and guidelines we set up, being able to have a system that allows people to monitor it and to make sure that if things are going on that aren't part of that guideline or structure, then we have to have consequences. So there's got to be some sort of repercussion. And my hope is that it doesn't get to the point where now all of a sudden players are ruled ineligible and it starts to go down that path where now we're affecting the student athletes in a negative way as well.
How does a school like Boise State, it's kind of made its name for finding the diamond in the roughs, finding these under-recruited guys, building them up. Now you do that, and then in 2 years another school takes your guy. What can you guys do? Because some of the money we're hearing thrown around, there's just nothing you guys can do. Maybe it is nothing, but how do you guys in this era try to? You mentioned adapt and stuff, but how do you try to hang on to some of these guys?
At the end of the day, I think you still try and recruit to your program and to what you feel is a really good fit for your program, not only obviously on the field and what those guys can do for you from a football standpoint, but more importantly, and do they fit here in Boise as people? Do they fit what we're looking for as far as just who they are as people? And hopefully through that, you find the guys that are going to come and want to be developed. And even if other opportunities come and present themselves, maybe it is say, no, you know what? I want to stay true to my commitment here and finish out what I've started. And those are guys that will do that. And then at the end of the day, though, like I said, we always are going to want what's best for our student athletes. And if that is another opportunity that presents itself and it helps them, hey, more power to you, then we just got to go make sure that we go out and find that next guy and have the next guy in place to be able to develop that next guy. And if it ends up being what that next guy takes another opportunity, all right, next guy, right? So it just is. It's going to be one of those situations where we have to stay ahead of it from the standpoint of, all right, we have to make sure that we are developing everybody within the program all the time. So when these roster changes move or happen, we've got somebody in place to replace.
Where do you think defensively? You guys were making such strides. You had the Wyoming performance, and there were some good things of what you did against Fresno, but obviously another loss. Where do you think defensively, with 3 games left here, you guys are?
I think to your point, it's just has not been as consistent as we would like, but we started to see that thing going in the right direction. To your point, at the end of the day, it's always about the wins and losses. It's a team game, and so I'm not happy is not the right word. My guys or our guys as a team, our defense are secondary, we have to stick to the idea of this thing is a process. This thing is, we are not contingent on just the scoreboard results. It really is, are we making progress? Are we finding ways to get better at each position? And if we can still keep that message as far as development and continuing to find progress at every single position, and in turn you're seeing progress on the field as a total unit, then I think you can look back and point to, yeah, you know what, going into next season we've got some momentum behind us, and guys have really bought into what we're trying to get done as far as the overall big picture in this grand scheme of things.
What do you think of Tubner's hit on that receiver, zero, I think, on the sideline? And what do you think of it? And what goes through your mind when you see a hit like that in college football, these days, given the rules like this?
Yeah, unfortunately, the first thing you look for is the official going to somehow see that as targeting because of just the sheer violent impact that it has. And Tubes has had multiple of those hits this year where it's like, okay, that was an awesome hit. I want to celebrate, but I'm looking around at the officials like, but obviously a very clean hit, physical play, separated the receiver from the football. And then the next thing I was worried about is this guy going to get up? Because the way the sheer impact in that his head as I watched it on film, I mean, that thing was, so it was and the other piece of me is very jealous that I don't get to do that anymore. And but like I said, I love the way Tubes plays the game, the physicality that he brings, just the relentless finish that he has on every play, and those type of hits, man. The first thing I want to do is celebrate with him, but then I have to go back into coach mode and kind of make sure all is good.
If you got to talk with him